This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.
Hello, welcome to the Blood Red podcast from Liverpool Echo. We're here on a Monday morning in Liverpool City Centre after Liverpool beat Brighton and Hove Albion 2-0 at the weekend. I'm joined by Paul Gorst to react to that. And Paul, it was kind of a bit business as usual, business as it used to be almost.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a strange feeling about it actually. It was all a bit kind of
normal.
Yeah. Strange.
It was a bit of a throwback to last season, wasn't it? Where Liverpool were involved in a lot of games that were hard fought, but eventually come out with a relatively straightforward victory. And look, that's what's been sorely absent in recent months, hasn't it? You think of so many games that Liverpool have lost. The Nottingham Forest one, probably the prime example, where I think a lot of supporters turned up expecting Liverpool to just sort of click back into gear and normal service was resumed, and then they go and get beat 3-0, and that sort of opens up everything to being questioned, doesn't it? So it was a lot more like you'd want it to be. Still one or two things to iron out, which is fine, but it's been a good week for Liverpool, certainly on the pitch. Back-to-back victories, back-to-back clean sheets, and that's 5 unbeaten now. And okay, the results against Sunderland and Leeds were disappointing because they were draws, but you have to say that Arne Slot has steadied the ship, actually, on the back of that, really damaging defeat to PSV. That feels like it was weeks ago now, doesn't it? And it's okay, there's still things to work on, but Liverpool going in the right direction, which is, I guess, small steps forward on the back of what had been a really tough sort of 2-month period. So, yeah, onwards and upwards, I suppose.
We'll come to individuals in a second, the kind of their role within it, but to me it just looked as though, how important it was they scored that early goal. Was it, I think, 46 seconds, which was the fastest in the league. I think it's been passed already, got passed on Sunday, but it just makes a huge difference. And there was a real, what could have been an awkward. Well, we've seen plenty of awkward afternoons, haven't we? And awkward evenings at Anfield this season against sides that Liverpool were swatting aside last season. Yeah. But to score an early goal in that way, you got the sense the crowd, there was a bit of relief there. It almost felt like they enjoyed it really for the first time in a while. Yeah,
I mean, it's something I've bemoaned a lot, actually. Liverpool not starting with the right levels of intensity. You think of like Liverpool at their best and they fly out the traps at Anfield, don't they, against teams who'd expected to dominate, and so many early goals are ultimately the difference. Teams, once they get caught up in that, what was it, washing machine, as Mikel Arteta once referred to it as, then teams do struggle. But too often Liverpool just start passively and tentatively, and they try to grow into games, and it's only really the second half when you start to see anything there what you might consider to be a good Liverpool performance. So this was different in the case that they scored after 46 seconds, which was their earliest goal. Theo Squires told me this since Naby Keita against Huddersfield, was it?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Way back in 2019, or 2018. So it was the first goal he scored before half time in the Premier League since the Aston Villa game, which even that was scored in stoppage time. It was a bit of a gift, wasn't it, from Martinez? So yeah, it just calmed the players down, I think. Made them a bit more relaxed, gave them a lot of confidence. And when you're a goal up, the fans get on side, and it means that any sort of, had it been 0-0, for example, and Brighton have a couple of those chances with Minter and, possibly Gomez, was it? The mood can change at 0-0 if those chances happen, and, fans start to get a little bit anxious, start to get on the players' backs a little bit, and, so the early goal helped massively. And like I say, it's just allowed Liverpool just to gain a bit of confidence from it, because it's been too long since we've seen Liverpool play with that sort of freedom that they played in the first half, and it just helps massively, doesn't it, when the players know that they're not a slack pass away from it all falling to bits.
Well, as I say, we'll come on to more individual performances. We'll start with someone who didn't start the game, and that was a lot of the talk. Obviously, going into it was the situation around Mo Salah having missed the game in Milan. We got the news on Friday night, didn't we, that he was going to be involved. And I don't know about you. I mean, you're closer to it than me, but I think the whole thing ended up being a bit of a win for Arne Slot almost, in terms of how it's all come about, and obviously you wouldn't have wished the injury on Gomez, but for him to come on in the first half, he looked focused, he looked like he wanted to be part of the team, he played well. I'm not going to say like he'd never been away, because I think there was still a bit of an oddness around it, but in the end, almost like water under a bridge for now. We know he's going away to the AFCON, so it's worked out as well as it possibly could have, really.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of this storyline at the moment. You know, given what he said to us in the tunnel at Elland Road last week, means that there will be some more twists and turns in this one, I'm sure. But what it did allow Liverpool, or what it does allow Liverpool now, is the chance to kick it down the road a little bit with the Africa Cup of Nations. Obviously, Mo is not going to be involved now at Anfield for 2, 3, 4 weeks maybe, and that allows Slot the chance to, you know, he's picking a team knowing Mo Salah isn't there anyway, so he's got to find a solution without him. That is fine, and that is almost what he could point towards in the last few weeks, couldn't he? The fact that he's preparing for a world without Salah for however long, so he's looking to find solutions without him. And I thought he was good, really. You know, he could have had an assist as soon as he come on, didn't he? You know, not sure what McAllister is trying there, but you know, if he goes and sticks that away, you're looking on, you know, Salah getting an assist within, I think, a minute of him coming on. He gets the assist in the end for Ekitike, and you know that takes him clear of Wayne Rooney now, doesn't it? It's the most goal contributions for one club in the Premier League. So, yeah, you know, it was interesting seeing him a full time clapping the cop and walking off. And some people are trying to read into it, aren't they, that maybe that was his goodbye. But I just don't see how that can be. Yeah. You know, surely that's not going to be the end of his Liverpool career, just shuffling away mid-season, you know, to AFCON, and then he never returns. You know, still best part of 18 months on his contract to run. Still got a lot to give. You know, he was unlucky 1 or 2 times on Saturday. Could have get an assist, could have had another assist, could have had a goal, couldn't he, with the one from Chiesa. And I thought he played well. He looked like he had a spring in his step. He had a bit of a point to prove, having been left out on the inter squad, and obviously starts 3 on the bench, doesn't he, the previous game. So, yeah, I don't think it's totally over yet. But for now, Liverpool can, you know, put it onto the back burner and try to find, you know, results without Mo for the next few weeks.
I mean, I agree with you. I was watching him afterwards. It didn't feel like a goodbye, did it? He was applauding the fans, but he does that after every game, and it didn't feel like goodbye. It did feel like an acknowledgement of what's gone on, I think.
Yeah.
And an acknowledgement of that he is going to be going away now. But as we can see from the back page there of the paper, you know, that quotes from Virgil van Dijk talking about how he wants him to stick around. I've seen Kanate saying the same thing. I've seen Curtis Jones saying similar. It's obviously been a big week for the squad in terms of what was said, what he said to you. But I don't think it's damaged the sort of squad harmony, has it? And the way that he played, I thought the effort was there. He seemed kind of determined to kind of put 90 minutes running into an hour, didn't he? He was on the pitch.
Yeah. He wasn't, he wasn't disgruntled in his performance. You know, he certainly disgruntled at Leeds last week. You know, he didn't say any of that. I'm sure we're going over old ground now, but he didn't say any of that in the heat of the moment or anything like that. It was very much calculated. You know what he did, what he said, but. You know, the best way to go about sort of showing that you've maybe moved on is it in your performances. And obviously he holds talks with Arne Slot on Friday at the training ground on Liverpool's first day back after the trip to Milan, which he missed, of course. And yeah, it's what you want, isn't it? You know, you want your players to do the talking on the pitch, essentially. And it's just a shame he didn't stick that one away from Chiesa at the end, because that would have capped off a fine afternoon for him and Slot. And it would have been a nice way to sort of say, okay, all water under the bridge. Now, I don't think it's the last we've heard of this at the moment, but like I say, what it does is Liverpool now can kind of just forget about it for a little bit. Certainly front of house, you know, Arne Slot isn't going to be getting asked questions about Mo unless it's Egypt related, I guess, because he's obviously going to be in Morocco, isn't he? And it's going to be interesting to see if he speaks in Morocco. Hopefully keeps his counsel, no more headlines from a Liverpool perspective. But yeah, a nice way to sign off, and hopefully he is back in the new year and, you know, spring in his step.
Yeah, so Mo off to Morocco, and of course, if you'd like to access any of his favourite Liverpool podcasts or websites or articles that he wants to read from your good self, he would want to do so safely, wouldn't he? And so hopefully Mo has got NordVPN on his laptop over in Morocco, and to get, if you haven't yet, Mo, to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, you can go to nordvpn.com/bloodreds, and our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and the link is in the podcast episode description box below. Mo, make sure you get it. Hugo Ekitike, we need to talk about him. He scored 2 goals. It feels a little bit like the Salah stuff overshadowed that. You know, you come away from it on Saturday and Salah's picture is the one that you're seeing. But that is a huge afternoon for a still very new player at Liverpool to go and score 2 goals and to go and make your mark that he did. He was really impressive.
Yeah, it's the youngest player to score 2 in successive Liverpool games since Michael Owen, would you believe? He's still only 23, Ekitike. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a really good week for him, hasn't it? You know, he gets his 2 goals against Leeds, he leads the line at Inter, and then 2 goals on Saturday. Yeah, really good. You know, some strikers, that chance might have come too early for him. You know, less than a minute in, probably only his first and second touches, aren't they, the control on the strike, and then takes it so well. It just eases any nerves that might have been around the ground very early on with that. And then, you know, Brighton are pushing, aren't they, in the second half, and the general consensus is Liverpool are going to need a second, and he pops up with a header. He's just, you know, he's had a great season. You know, fair to say the new signings haven't set the world alight after so far for various reasons, but he's been the pick of the bunch. He's up to 10 goals now in all competitions. You know, if Mo's looking to finish as top scorer for the 9th season running, he's got real competition from Ekitike to do that now. And yeah, he just looks so strong and powerful, doesn't he? You know, when he gets motoring, he looks so hard to stop. He looks so smooth and elegant, but, you know, eats up the ground. And there was the one where he sort of nutmegs Lewis Duncan and just runs onto it. And there was another one in the second half where he just breezes past the 2 challenges, and okay, the shot isn't great on the edge of the box, but just looks a player full of confidence, and, you know, he's got a lot to his game, and, you know, leading the line with Isak on Tuesday night at Inter was inconclusive. I still think both of those players are going to have to work on that partnership if it's going to be a success, but he looked a lot more at home leading the line on his own on Saturday. And it's a nice problem for Slot to have, isn't it? To work on that partnership, and knowing that, you know, if he does just want to play the one up front, then Ekitike at the moment certainly has the shirt. And yeah, it just looks to be a real, you know, exciting prospect for the long term at Liverpool.
And the exciting thing, I guess, is there looks like there's going to be a lot more for it as well. Like he's quite graceful, isn't he? The way he runs, the way he moves the ball. He's a lovely player to watch, which some players might be great goal scorers or you know, move the ball well, but they don't necessarily, you don't enjoy watching almost the way that they glide past defenders or things like that. He's got that about him, hasn't he? And yet the exciting thing is perhaps he still is a little bit raw, because you saw that chance he snatched at, as you said, in the first half, the one where he should have passed it. He played it across to Salah, ends with Salah, and that shot ends in the corner from which he does end up scoring. But he could have played that a better ball to Salah there. He had that one in the first half. So yeah, it's still working through with him, isn't it? But he's someone who he's so exciting now. He's someone that feels like people can get behind now and maybe ride this a little bit, you know. And you know, he scored 2 goals in successive weekends there. That's a great achievement for him. Yeah.
And Arne Slot was speaking recently about almost having to play Isak through the fitness issues, and that might be at a detriment to other players. And, you know, it's not hard to figure out that he would have been talking about Ekitike there if one's playing, the other largely isn't. But I don't think he can do that now. I think he just has to, you know, accept that however long it's going to take Isak to get up to the standard that Liverpool brought him in for or brought him in at, you know, he's just going to have to do that on the job, really. You know, you can't leave out a player of Ekitike's quality in the sort of form that he's in. You know, like you say there, 4 goals in his last 2 Premier League games. Liverpool have only got 1 game a week now as well. So it's not really going to be a case of resting and rotating too often. So yeah, Ekitike has the shirt at the moment, and I guess everything else around them, Gakpo's injury, Salah's not going to be there, how fit is Chiesa, how fit is Isak, all these sorts of decisions are going to have to be made, as and when, but certainly if Ekitike is fit now, he has to play.
And we've spent all season talking about these new players needing to acclimatise and needing to get used to the club and get used to kind of the way they play. But this is it, isn't it? This is the perfect example to follow, and it's the perfect sign that someone is adapting and he is making this big transition from Frankfurt, which was a big step up from him. He's taking it on board, and he just looks like he belongs there now.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and I think one of the things that I like most about watching him is when the spaces open up, he's someone who can really exploit them. Yeah. You look at the goal he scored against Frankfurt, and it was a lovely ball from Robertson. Like I say, he just eats up the ground, doesn't he? He's streamed clear through and stuck that away. Same thing happened at Leeds. It was a mistake with a errant ball across the back, and again, when he's got the space, he's ruthless. And we saw that a couple of times in the second half, didn't we? And like you say, the pass to Salah for the shot that into the corner could have been a bit better, but he's just, he just looks like he's, a really exciting player to watch. And all this talk of him maybe playing off the left if he's actually in the line and all that sort of stuff, I just think at the moment, he's got to play through the middle, and clearly they are getting the most out of him at the moment.
Couple of players that perhaps less discussed over the weekend that I thought played well, especially Curtis Jones' 200th game.
Yeah.
200th game for Liverpool at the weekend, which feels like that's flown by. It doesn't feel that long ago, does it, since he was coming through? But again, a really assured performance, and we just said it was his third start in a row.
Yeah,
I think, and he looks like he belongs there. He looks when he's confident, he's on it, isn't he? And there was a few Cruyff turns on the edge of his own box that were getting people a little bit agitated, but you never thought he was going to give it away, because he's when he's on it, he's such a great player to watch, and he links well with all the players around him. Yeah. Him and Wirtz played well, for example.
Yeah, I think that's one thing you can always say about Curtis is he doesn't lose the ball, does he? You can give him the ball in any area, any position on the pitch, and he'll look after it and make sure that he keeps possession. And I think sometimes maybe there's been a slight frustration that some might feel that he takes too many touches of it, but I just think he's always keen to protect it and look after it. And I've seen his interview after the game to LFC TV, but he was saying that he sees that as his duty almost to take care of the ball, and he doesn't want to just release it like a hot potato because it might give it to a teammate who's in a bit of an awkward position who might not look after it as well, and he doesn't want them to lose the ball and get the blame for a pass that didn't have to go. And he's just so reliable, isn't he, in possession? And yeah, he's been an important cog, hasn't he, in the last couple of games? He starts against Inter, he starts against Leeds. He was unlucky, wasn't he, in the first half of that shot against Leeds? But someone who is growing in seniority, I'd suggest, now in the group. 200 appearances for Liverpool. I was at his first one against Wolves many years ago now, an FA Cup defeat. And even then, when he was in that squad, it wasn't like he was a total unknown, because I think a lot of people knew he was coming through the academy ranks as like the great hope. And yeah, Liverpool fans used to sing about the Scouser in the team, didn't they, with Trent? And certainly Jones now is the Scouser in the team. And yeah, long may it continue, because he's having a really good season. And okay, might not be a vintage one for the club, but at the moment he's in really good form, and let's hope it's a prolonged spell of form that he can go and push on and maybe knock on the door for England for the World Cup.
He feels like a good character to have around when things aren't going well. He came out, didn't he, after the PSV game, and was very strong in his criticism and everything. I think back to a couple of years ago, that 22-23 season under Klopp, where things hadn't gone well, and he had a very good run at the end of the season, didn't he? Where he was playing kind of off the left, and he scored a few goals, and it feels like someone who, when the chips are down, you do rely on him, and you say the seniority is there. He's someone. I think he sees himself as a leader within the group now. And as you say, as the local lad coming through, it feels like he's nailing that down more and more. And when he's confident, as I say, I wouldn't dream of not having him in the team at the moment. He's very important.
Yeah, and he was saying that to he was talking about Trent Ione and Rio and Gamora, and he's almost sort of taking them under his wing. And he was saying, look, in your early days as a Liverpool player, just enjoy it because it comes and goes in a blink, and that's what he was referring to, making his debut at Wolves when I think he might have only been 17. So, it's one of those where the likes of Ingemauer and Trent Ione in particular can sort of look up to him now and think, well, this lad come through as a teenager and now he's starting games and he's playing as well as anyone. So, yeah, long may it continue. He's had a lot of standout moments during his Liverpool career, and for whatever reason, just hasn't been able to build on it consistently. Injuries have played the part, haven't they? I think he had a bit of a strange issue with his eye one year. I remember speaking to him after his 0-0 draw at Chelsea, that period you referenced there when Liverpool were really up against it, and he got brought back in and he was talking about, I think there was an issue with his shin. There was a fracture of his shin which kept him out, and he hasn't always had great luck with injuries, but don't think he's been sidelined for a while now. And yeah, at the moment you'd have to say, if we were doing this pod on Friday, we'd be picking our teams for Tottenham, wouldn't we? And I think Jones would certainly be one of the first names in there on current form.
Yeah, someone I did want to briefly mention because I thought he played well was Milos Kerkez, who feels like every time I've done these we talk about because he has come in for a lot of criticism. I feel you've seen it in the last few games. You've seen what Liverpool were hoping that they signed, what they have signed. He's still a young player. For me, he looked like, and it was interesting that when he brought Andy Robertson on, I was thinking Robertson will go to left back and Kerkez will play ahead of him because you're thinking Kerkez with the extra pace. Yeah. But it was almost like, no, Robertson's coming on. We're trusting you to stay at left back and do your job. And I thought he did it really well. Yeah.
He's had a good week, hasn't he? I've been critical of him on this pod, but credit where it's due. He's had a good few weeks at least. It was always going to take time, wasn't it, for him to start to show his quality that has made him the most expensive left back Liverpool have ever had, and he's the current left back in the PFA Team of the Year. So it's been a good period for him. Back to back clean sheets this week. I mean, you just want him to build on it now, don't you? I think if Liverpool are going to play with this sort of diamond formation for the coming weeks, particularly with Salah not being there, there's going to be a lot of onus on him to supply the width from the left. Can't remember too many opportunities of him getting forward, really, in the game on Saturday, but I just think where Liverpool are at the moment, they're just trying to emerge from a very difficult period. It's just about safety first, isn't it? And I guess that's why Joe Gomez has been starting on the right as well, very much orthodox fullbacks who are going to defend, and yeah, in time, you want to see a bit more attack and thrust from them. I think that a lot of it is to do with the way Slot wants his fullbacks to play, but yeah, it's been a good week for him, so yeah, credit where it's due.
You mentioned Joe Gomez there and a couple of negative points from the game. Obviously, Joe Gomez goes off injured in the first half. It's something that we've seen so often, unfortunately, and it's never nice when it happens to him because you tend to think, well, he'll be out for a few weeks now because it's one of these issues he gets very frequently, doesn't he? So Bosley second half as well, having almost felt like the right back position was a bit cursed in that game. So Bosley gets a knock, which again we're used to seeing him power through everything this season, aren't we? But he goes off. I'm not sure what the extent of it is yet, but it just emphasised that the squad looks very thin at the moment.
Yeah. I think I got asked after the game about, you got a full week to train now, and he said, well, normally I would, but I don't think I could field the five-a-side team at the moment due to the injuries that they've got. Yeah, hopefully the Szoboszlai one isn't too serious. We think Gomez's might be a hamstring, which is just a cruel blow, isn't it? I mean, the exact same last year for Joe Gomez, December last year, when he's getting a bit of a run on the team, and then he gets the hamstring injury at West Ham, and then never really got back in the team, then did he? For up until West Ham the other week. So it's all 11 months there really between those two. So yeah, it's disappointing because he's been a real plus point of the last 2 or 3 weeks. Helps out Canate no end on that side, and then Canate's having a bit of a difficult period. Just helps having another sort of defence-minded fullback in there. He
was attacking though, wasn't he, on Saturday?
Yeah, he was, forward, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, he gets the assist, doesn't he? And he set up Ekatike again with the cutback. It's clearly not his game, but he was trying to do what he could. And yeah, it's a shame, but I guess the good news is Conor Bradley is back from suspension for the Tottenham game. So you imagine that might be the the straightforward change. I just hope it's not as serious as it generally tends to be when we're talking about Joe Gomez.
Yeah, and then on the plus side with the injuries, and it does feel a bit odd given we're in the middle of the month. There's only 2 more games in December. You mentioned Spurs, and then it's Wolves at home, isn't it? So, the games have eased off at this point, and it gives a lot of chance. You mentioned there about the 5-a-side thing, and I'm sure he'll be working on something, whatever it is. It will give them a chance to just kind of take a step back a little bit. It's been a hectic period. They've emerged from it quite well, but this little run now where you got a week until Spurs, who look in a bit of disarray given their result yesterday, and then a week until Wolves, who are bottom of the league and haven't won all season. So it's a chance now, isn't it? Just to finish off this what's been a successful year for Liverpool. A chance to finish this off with a good couple of wins.
Yeah, and hopefully. I know Slot was sort of tongue in cheek about it, but hopefully a bit of time on the training pitch to work on 1 or 2 things. Maybe if they are sticking with this bit of a 4-man midfield, if you like, with Jones and Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and McAllister, obviously Wirtz in there as well. There's things to work on, which they haven't necessarily had that much time to do, given that they've had obviously Champions League commitments and whatever else. So, yeah. It's strange, isn't it, talking about such a sparse fixture list in December. Normally, you can't really breathe for games. And
well, Slot said, didn't he? But he's almost happy they're not in the League Cup because they're playing this week, and it does make you wonder if you think now, no Gomez, no Szoboszlai, no Salah, what would they have lined up as in the League Cup?
Yeah. It would have looked, an academy team to an extent. So, yeah, it's disappointing to go out in the manner that they did, but, It is what it is. The upshot of it is that they've now got a full week to prepare for Tottenham. They are, like you say, they are in a bit of trouble themselves, aren't they? So I think this is one where Liverpool have to go and put the foot on the gas a little bit. And if they can come away with the big 3 points there, it's just further evidence that the Liverpool are over the worst. Which I'm not 100% convinced yet, but 5 unbeaten now is progress. Those draws still for me just lingering a bit. Those Leeds and Sunderland results, because you think if Liverpool would have won both of those, what would they be? You'd only be 6 behind Arsenal, which seems, considering the few months that they've had, that would have been quite good actually, wouldn't it? But they are 10 points behind Arsenal. I still think title hopes are very distant, but they are in the shake-up for the top 4, which, given the way it's been the last few weeks, probably can't be sniffed at.
Yeah, some green sheets, you'd say, of recovery at the weekend. And looking ahead now to Tottenham on Saturday, so we'll be back later in the week to preview that. But for now, thanks to Paul, and we'll see you then.
This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.